Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. Hope you're doing great. Got a story today about student loan debt. Now, we've seen a lot of news in the mainstream press about Biden wanting to make sure that people are getting their loans forgiven, right? We have an apocalypse coming when it comes to the loan market, literally in 2 months. And what that is a bunch of people, tons and tons of people that had loan payments that they had to pay on their student loan debt, many of which have been paying on for 20 or 25 years. Now, they went from a period of time during the pandemic where they didn't have to pay anything to now they have to pay. And I'm telling you, and I know this from experience and all the studying I've done over the last 20 years on economics, when you give people that are burdened with debt, and student loan debt is one of those debts that just blow me away, where people don't crank down and pay it off. And they tend to just let it run out the term, right? Because the rates are favorable or the term is favorable. And they go and get themselves in more debt. If you allow that to happen, they will get themselves in more debt. Well, during the period of time where student loan debt, the payments were froze, they were halted. People went out and they went and got more debt. Even the people that didn't go and get more debt. And let me know down in the comment section, honestly, and I want people to tell the truth because then we can learn from each other, right? Am I right? Did you go and get more debt as you had this other debt hanging over your head, but you had this period of freeze, along with promises out of the White House, which I believe a lot of it was a psyop to get people into more debt, saying we're going to take care of this, we're going to forgive, we're going to forgive. Even when you saw the Supreme Court step in and go, hey, Biden, you can't do this, right? It's not constitutional. We're seeing, I think, a psyop that's growing. Did you go and get into more debt? Now, even the people, I'm going to speak to the people that didn't go and get more debt, and they said, okay, I'm going to take this time, I'm going to pay down other debt, things like that. What they have found is since the time when the student loan payments were frozen for a period of time, inflation has crept into your personal budget, all right? Everything's getting more expensive. So when we get to this point, and it's this September for federal loans, California student loans, those start having to get repaid, I believe, October 1st. We're going to see a huge vacuum in the average American's budget, all right? Because now they have to start paying on that debt. So $200, $300, $400, maybe even $500 a month now has to leave their monthly budget, or maybe that was going to paying other bills, maybe that was going to savings. It now has to go towards this payment. And I believe it's going to be a very bad thing. By December, we're going to see all kinds of numbers. As a matter of fact, and let me know down in the comments, are you looking ahead and going, I can't make that payment? I just simply can't. I'm seeing a lot of people commenting like that. And I believe that by December, 1st of December, or the end of December, we're going to see news like you wouldn't believe. This percentage of American student loan borrowers are 30 days behind. This many are 60 days behind, and so on and so forth, all right? So there's two stories I want to talk about. And the first one's out of USA Today, and it's entitled Student Loan Interest Crisis. New bill could eliminate rates for many borrowers. Really interesting, right? Again, I believe this is going to be a carrot dangling on a fishing pole. Or on a line, just trying to keep people baited, just keep people excited, and at the same time, keep them borrowing more money. The other story I'm going to do is something I touched on a few days back, but I really want to see, it got very little play, and I want to talk about it again, and that is loan defaults, or rejections, actually, loan rejections, not only in student and car, but also mortgages. It's pretty phenomenal how many loans are being rejected. And in the last 90 days, it has doubled, almost went up 100% into the double digits, okay? So this is happening really, really fast. All right, again, this is out of USA Today, and it's entitled Student Loan Interest Crisis. New bill could eliminate rates for many borrowers. It says tens of millions of Americans who have student loan debt are expected to resume making payments this fall. The interest that comes with that debt will kick in again too. For many borrowers, that interest has been an obstacle to paying off their loans. Advocates say the return to payments, for which the Education Department is now preparing after the Supreme Court struck down the president's sweeping debt forgiveness plan, could be catastrophic financially. Let me stop there and tell you that I believe that the White House knew exactly what they were doing and knew exactly that sweeping plan would be knocked down. Why? They know what's legal and what's not, what they can get away with, what's not, but it is a psyop. It is to suck a bunch of would-be people that hopefully follow them and say, hey, come with us. We're the answer. We're trying to beat the bad people and we're trying to get your debts forgiven. They're buying voters, right? So what happens right after they did that? Oh, we got knocked down. Okay, let's try it a different angle. The fact of the matter is, I do not believe they're going to be successful. Sure, they're salting a few people around the country. When I say a few, maybe 100,000 people with a certain amount of loan forgiveness. But this is a plan to get you sucked into their greater plan. And their greater plan is higher taxes and destroying the family values of this country. All right? And I want people to understand that. It's very dangerous. It says here, but new legislation written by Representative Joe Courtney, a Democrat. This is what they do, okay? Because Democrats, I'm going to be honest with you, and I think both sides of the aisle are just about as stupid as can be, but Democrats spend recklessly and they do not care about the future generations, all right? So they're going to write all this stuff and say, look, we're trying to rob people that are producing wages in this country. We're trying to rob them and give it to the people that just want to become professional students their whole life and really do nothing with those degrees later on in life because AI is going to take those jobs anyway. So here we go. Peter Welsh, so two Democratic senators, aims to get rid of that interest for current borrowers while capping it based on a sliding scale for future borrowers. The bill, unveiled and shared exclusively Thursday with USA Today, also would devise a means of paying for lost interest, one that wouldn't leave taxpayers covering those costs. Just so you know, that's absolutely straight up impossible. We've hit straight up maximum Looney Tunes level right now. Whenever the government takes money out of the coffers that were raised by taxes, people like yourself and me that pay these taxes, and then they loan it out at zero interest. And mind you, student loan debt is at its highest in history, and it is really up there. It's only going to make it worse because more people are going to apply. Like, whoa, interest-free loan? I'm in there. As a matter of fact, there are people that are probably my age that are going to go, screw it, I'm going back to school, and I'm gonna game the system because it's super easy to game the system. Borrow money at zero interest rates. Say you're going to school, take a few classes, and then live off that money. Don't think that people aren't going to be doing that in a heartbeat. But if you're borrowing money from interest-free, the student loan line item on the government budget is one of their largest assets. I know it's crazy that their debt is their asset, but it's because payments come in with interest, okay? It's literally one of their greatest line items. And so what happens is when now all of a sudden you're not getting interest, more borrowers are going to do it, which is going to make this bubble even bigger. And then you have to go and tax people more. So see, the end game is a total destruction of the taxpayer, a total destruction of the workforce, a total destruction of the optimism of somebody saying, I want to get wealthy, okay? I want to live the American dream. No, people are just going to live way down here like little mice in little rat traps that the government has given you. Be like, oh, just take a little bit, be a good little slave and deal with it. So these Democratic senators have no concept of economics, but they do have a concept of one thing, and that is making sure they get reelected so they can get limousine service, food paid for, all kinds of great things, live off the government dole, off of you, okay? And to do that, you got to convince a bunch of people that aren't that smart to not wake up, to stay sleepy, and don't worry, we're going to take care of you. You could just go to school as long as you want. Shoot, you can get a doctorate squared, and you can just do nothing with your life and just keep going to school and just keep taking out those loans, and don't worry, just elect me next. And to the point where these people stay in office for so long, they end up having strokes in front of everybody because they're like 100 and a million years old, and they're starting to look like Skeletor and old dinosaurs. Whew, crazy. It says here, not just student loans interest overwhelms borrowers. Student loan payments, which have been on hold since the start of the pandemic, will be starting in October. It's not just payments that have been on pause, the interest that comes with them. For more than 3 years will also resume starting the 1st. For many borrowers, the looming expense is just as bad, if not worse, than the principal owed. It's absolutely disgusting. Now, I'm going to move to another story because I think this is very, very important. And this is about debt rejections, okay? Not people defaulting, but the rejections. All right, this is out of Forbes. Over 20% of U.S. loans were rejected in the last year, hitting a 5-year high. Now, most people don't realize this, but our economy was crashing in 2018, 2019. We're going to a big recession. And that was held off, and we were able to expand the money supply, double it, because of a pandemic, a flu. This is identical to what happened during the 1918 Spanish flu, and then the money supply exploded. We saw a bout of inflation called the Roaring 20s, and then it came crashing down during 1929. Well, this crash is coming a lot sooner than what happened during the Spanish flu. Isn't that weird? It's almost like literally to the date. Oh, wait, it is on a calendar that's not the Gregorian calendar, a 100-year cycle of a flu that still you can't really find any proof that anyone really died, and you can only find about 10 pictures of it on Google. Interesting. All right, so let's dive into it. So 20% of US loans have been rejected in the last year, and this number is shocking, is growing even more. Some 21.8% of US loan applications over the last month were denied. Just in the last month. The highest rejection rate since June. Well, now that's interesting. A June and a June. These are cycles. Very important. Monthly. There's monthly cycles, yearly cycles. It just blows me away. According to new data from the Federal Reserve, which might suggest higher interest rates and fears from recent bank failures are making it harder for Americans to borrow for everything from cars to houses. Now remember, I want you to please understand this. Borrowing money is what keeps our country afloat. The expansion of the money supply is what keeps asset prices climbing. And when asset prices start to get a little shaky, banks contract the amount of money they loan out. They make higher lending standards and things like that. And or they just come up with all kinds of other things, you know. You're white, you can't get a loan. And it's just really happening right now. You've got affirmative action right now in loan making process, right? What happens is as less people borrow money, that's less people that can go out into the economy and buy stuff at exorbitant rates. And then asset prices collapse. All right. So it says here's some key points to go over. 4 months ago, the last time this data was reported, the rejection rate was 17.3%. All right, so now that was what, 4 months ago it said? And now it's at 21.8%. Right? The increase in rejected loan applications was seen widely across age groups, but was seen mostly accurately among those credit scores below 680, the Federal Reserve said. Let's see here. Hold on. The rejection rate for auto loans over the previous 12 months was 14.2%, which was up from 9.1% in February. That is like a 50% increase in auto loans. When I talk about auto loans collapsing, the market collapsing, it's because nobody has money to keep paying these payments and they're getting rejected, okay? Banks are pricing in risk. We are now risk on with the banks. The Fed began tracking that data since 2013. For credit cards, the rejection rate was 21.5%. And for credit card limit increase requests was 30.7%. Let me ask you this down in the comment section. Type 1 if you believe that people are tapped right now, financially, monthly balance sheets, they are tapped. Type 2 if you think there's still people out there, there's a lot of people out there that can still just keep spending like they have been the last 4 years. Now, why would people need credit card limit increases? You tell me. We all know, right? It's because people need more access to credit. They don't have any money, they're tapped. Brando just gave me a super chat. Thank you. It says here, he's got a question. Won't there be a small but significant drop this fall, causing the Fed to drop rates, print money, and prop the market for one last blow off? So that's a great question. This fall, I believe you're going to see the evidence of the collapse all over the news. I do not believe the Fed is going to start lowering rates. What they'll do is they'll go into a pause. We just had the straight up raise, right? Another 25 basis points. I believe they're going to do it again. And then when things start to really falter, because remember, there's news out there that's saying, oh, no, the economy is still strong. And what I think they're really they're concerned with, or they're confused with, concerned and confused at the same time, is that people are buying because they're afraid of the purchasing power of their dollar losing. I was in a grocery store the other day, and a gentleman, I will just say this, I was judging him based off of how he was talking and how he looked, that he didn't know a ton about economics. But I started talking about inflation, and the first thing he said was, he looks at me and he goes, did you know that China and Russia are developing a gold-backed currency. And I looked at him, I said, okay, I straight up judged you. What else do you know? And he's like, he didn't know anything else. He's all, actually, that's the only thing I know. But it just seems like I'm keep seeing these headlines over and over again. I'm like, yeah, you don't appear to be the type of person that knows exactly. And I'm all, but then again, I call myself a ninja. And he just laughed it off. He didn't know what I do for a living. But he knew that. He knew enough to go, yeah, there's these countries that are trying to destroy the dollar and they're going to gold back their currency. He said he doesn't follow economics at all, but that's ringing in his ear. So what happens as more people, this stuff starts ringing in their ear? Well, they're going to start to run for the exits, or they're going to start to like buy up gold or silver. They're going to start to see what all of you already see right now. And if you're new to this kind of information, I love saying this. Please put this, I did not know this, in the comment section. I love seeing people that are like new to this and they're going, okay, what's going on here? Why is he talking like this? Now, again, we're going back to loan rejection rates. The rejection rate for mortgages was 13.2% and 20.8% for mortgage refinancing applications. There again, why would people need to refinance a mortgage right now? Why? Mortgage rates are just on the incline. That means that anyone right now that is applying, and it says right here, 20.8% of them were rejected. Anybody right now trying to get a new mortgage, a refinance, needs money. It's that easy to figure out. They need money. They're broke. They're tapped. They listened to a real estate agent that said, oh, if you don't buy now, you're never going to afford it. They listened to a loan guy that says, if you don't lock in right now, rates are only going up. And now they're like, crap, I got to get a more expensive loan. But it might shave, add a couple of years because I've already been paying on this one for a couple of years. I'm screwed, but at least it reamortizes over 30 years. And think about this. R. Heath, thank you so much for such a kind super chat. That is such a blessing. Now think about this. They're sitting there going, okay, we can refinance this and expand it over 30 years now, saving me, adding a couple more years on to the death contract that I have. That's what mortgage means, right? Death contract. Because it's never meant to be paid off. That's what the banks want. They want to feed off of your greed, right? You think about it and they go, hey, technically you don't even have to make a payment. You're going to miss a payment because it's the way that the escrow system works and it'll just be wrapped up in the loan. And I've seen mortgage brokers talk people into this. I mean, it's like putting a loaded weapon to your head, financial weapon. So that's crazy, right? Check this out, it gets even better. The Federal Reserve survey also found that nearly 41.6% of those who applied for mortgages expected their loan to be denied, showing a lack of confidence. That's called desperation. When 46% of those who applied expect their loan to be denied, that means they already know where they're headed, where their personal balance sheet is headed. That's bad. And when you start to lose the optimism, the eternal optimism of the consumer, and they start to look down, that's when you go into depression. It's more than a financial term. It is an emotional term. And so those people regress, they stop spending, they get tighter, they go back into that monetary fetal position. Think about it. As we came to this earth, we were tight into a fetal position. Our hands are clenched. They're holding on to whatever money they've got. They stop spending. And then it is like a light switch went off. And I'm telling you, that light switch is being flipped off right now. We are in the summer of 2008. This fall, you will see the cards falling down. Check this out. Additionally, it says 30.7% of auto loan applicants expected their loans to be denied, as well as 32.8% of credit card applicants, 42.4% of credit limit increase applicants, and 29% of mortgage refinance applicants. So we are talking DEFCON 3 when it comes to people that don't even expect, they're like, we're screwed. We need more money. I need a credit card loan increase. I need a refinance. I need to refinance my car, my home. And I don't even think the banks are going to believe in me because I don't believe in me because I know I'm in trouble. It's that gut feeling inside when you know something's wrong and then later on it was wrong and you go, why didn't I listen to myself? Because it is a spiritual gift you got. But most people do not know how to tap into that. And that is why the term know thyself is very, very important. It says here, since the Federal Reserve began tracking this data, the rejection rate has peaked at 24.2% in October of 2014. Isn't that interesting? 2014, that's when the rejection rate peaked. And you're like, well, wait a minute, Ninja, that was so far off of 2008. That's because it takes a long time to go from peak to trough to peak again. The banks get tight, and then they can start loosening up. That's why I started teaching people about real estate cycles, telling them about economic cycles. You've got time to prepare. Even as the entire world's falling down, you got a job right now. You got stuff in your garage. There's still a greater fool out there that'll buy your stuff at a garage sale. I know it sounds crazy, but there's ways of making money. I made lots of money during the time from 2010, 2014, selling people palm trees. I was making between $50,000 and $100,000 a year extra selling palm trees. Because instead of people going on extravagant vacations to Hawaii, no joke, people come and buy palm trees and say, we want to make our backyard feel like Hawaii because we used to go on all these family trips every year and spend like $10,000. And now we don't have that because the Great Recession and everything sucks. So we're just going to make our backyard look like a Hawaiian tropical island. And I'm like, cool, that'll come to $2,000 in palm trees right now. And so I made money. There's ways to make money during this. There's also time to prepare. It says this is the first batch of loan rejection data that's been released since Silicon Valley Bank collapsed in March, which was quickly followed by 2 other regional bank failures, Signature Bank and First Republic. Look, I can't wait to get my hands on the next batch, the next 90 days, the next quarter of data that shows, and I'm going to be right, that loan rejections are going to skyrocket past what they were last quarter. And this is going to get worse. And as we get bigger and bigger, deeper and deeper into this crash, just remember, you could have done something about it. You can do something about it. The choice is up to you. So are we waiting until all of a sudden you've got to make those loan payments, or are we going to start now? Guys, I hope you got something out of this. Thank you to everybody that shares this video. Thank you to everyone with the super chats. You guys are awesome. The Economic Ninja is out.